Hey besties, welcome to episode 3 of the Business Besties Club podcast, your go-to space for real, unfiltered conversations about business, marketing and entrepreneurship. I'm Katie, your host, and today's guest is such a special one. I still can't quite believe who I'm going to be sitting down with. I'm joined by someone who's not only led some of the UK's most iconic brands, but who's also shaped the marketing industry in a huge way. Peter Markey. Peter is the former Chief Marketing Officer at Boots, and he's held senior leadership roles at TSB, Aviva, the Post Office and more. He's been named Marketer of the Year 5 times. He regularly features in the Campaign Power 100 and is president at the ISBA. He's also a champion for diversity and inclusion and a mentor to the next generation of marketing leaders. But beyond the big titles and awards, Peter is known for his grounded leadership, generous mentorship and a belief that marketing done right can truly change things for brands and for people. So grab your favourite drink, get comfy and let's dive in to this inspiring conversation all about leadership, brand building and what small businesses can learn from big brand brilliance. Okay, Peter, let's kick things off with your story. You're now known as one of the most respected voices in UK marketing. You've been Chief Marketing Officer at Boots, held senior roles at TSB, Aviva, the Post Office, RSA and more than, and have been named Marketer of the Year 5 times. But I'd like to rewind a little bit, if that's okay. Can you take us back to the beginning of your career and what drew you into the world of marketing?
Great question. Thank you for having me on. Great to be on again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a bit of a roller coaster ride. So I did do the classic, let's go to university, let's go and do a course. I did an HND, then a degree in communication. So I learned about PR, marketing, advertising. We ran a radio station, we made videos. I took part, I was in a James Bond film that won the award.
I think I might have seen a clip.
Okay. Probably best avoid it on YouTube somewhere. I died within the first 30 seconds of appearing on screen. But it taught me a lot about creativity and marketing was part of that. But I actually wanted to get more into the radio and the production side, but I found my way into marketing I got a job at British Gas. I finished university. I needed to earn some money. I just got into that business right at the bottom of it. So the degree didn't count for anything to get into the company. I got in. I worked on a call centre dealing with very angry people who wanted lower gas bills immediately, didn't like their meter readings, and then got from that into a training team, then a sales team, then applied after, I think, 2 years in a job in the head office, and that job was in marketing. So I had a degree, I knew what I was doing, but it took 2 years to properly get into it. So no graduate scheme, no fast track, literally from the bottom up. So I learned a lot about working hard in a business and really working with people to show what you can do, make connections, build networks, and that can get you into the thing you really want. And all the brands you've just mentioned are what came from there. It came from connecting and meeting people, so many of whom I then worked with at other points in my career. And the bit I've loved is I've always ended up in businesses that I've no experience of whatsoever. And so I went to energy, to breakdown, to mobile phones, to insurance, to banking, to recently...
A big variation.
Like random bits. But I'd like when I arrived at Boots, I had no experience of these organisations or of the sectors they're in.
Yeah.
But I love that because I think marketing is a brilliant skill set that you can drop from business to business. So that's definitely been a theme throughout the career.
Absolutely. Amazing. Okay, so you've worked across really iconic brands from, as you mentioned, British Gas to Boots. What do you think shaped your approach to marketing most along the way in that journey?
The biggest thing actually is interesting you mentioned both those brands because they're sort of 25 plus years apart, those brands now in my career. And what was true in both of them was about customer and really knowing your customer, being passionate about your customer and being clear the unique thing you provide to your customer, the thing that makes you as a brand special and unique that no one else can do. And then using all the strength of your brand and what's in your brand and the data you've got to connect with them in a way no one else can.
Yeah.
And the bit's especially exciting now in my most recent work at Boots is how much more you can do with digital around data. Whereas at British Gas, the things I dreamed of doing that I now could do.
Yeah.
But that passion for knowing your customer is so important that don't forget why they could choose you, what other options they've got, what makes you distinctive and unique, and really go for that. There's so much marketing I see now, it's just too vanilla. It's sort of describing a sector or describing a category, but doesn't shout enough about what makes you as your brand unique, distinctive and special. And that's been true throughout my career on both those brands and more is know your point of difference, know what makes you special and go for it.
Fantastic, amazing advice. And you know, like you said, that there's a big span between the two of those. You working with both those brands, and the change in what's available from a technology perspective, I suppose, yeah, is a huge thing.
Yeah, I remember one of the early jobs I had at British Gas was working in direct marketing. It was seen as the graveyard slot. You were working on data and sending people stuff in the post. But I look at it now, it was such a great thing to work on. The discipline of putting stuff in a mail pack, or I owned the inserts that went in the bills. So you had to put inserts in about we had this thing called HEC, home electrical cover, and CAC, kitchen appliance cover. So I owned CAC and HEC. And then you had things like loft insulation. But learning the craft of getting those messages in. But we were doing it with this segmentation of these models, but all based on the post. Now I can, within Boots, we could literally target within mini segments using Meta and TikTok and Google. So the sophistication is there now to do amazing things. And with AI and creative generation, you can do stuff so much faster, so much better. So same disciplines are there, but the tools you've got, exactly as you said, you've got a more fun, exciting, dynamic, faster toolkit to play with.
Incredible. And was there a defining moment where you felt, yes, this is absolutely the path that I want to lead in?
It's a great question. Sometimes when I meet people, and I'm lucky enough to do mentoring for a few different organisations, people always say, what was your career plan? Never had one.
No.
Well, someone must have had one for me, but I didn't. I've never had one. It was only at the point, I think, so a few jobs in, I'd done British Gas, then went to the AA and then OneTel, all within Centrica. Then I arrived in More Than, where I was ended up running insurance for this amazing challenger insurance brand. And it was probably at that point, and I did an MBA, and this moment of going, this is kind of taking off a bit here. This is quite exciting. And I was lucky enough to win an award with the Marketing Society in 2009, which was Marketer of the Year. And no one looked more shocked than me when I won it, because at this moment of like, you hear your name and you're thinking, where's that guy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy's me.
me.
Now I have to go to the stage.
And I'm a marketer, and that's,
But it was a lovely moment for the industry to go, we recognise you and what you're doing. And that was probably the first moment I thought, you know what, this is sort of taking off a bit here.
Yeah.
And I remember Gemma, who ran the Marketing Society at that time, coming up to me when I won the award and basically saying, it was almost like, we now need to work with you to capitalise on this, to do good for the industry.
Yeah.
And I really heard that I've now been given an award, and the award is a platform.
Yeah.
And that's where I really felt I've got both what I was doing was taking off, but I now had this bigger responsibility. These platforms mean you have to give back and create the future of the industry. So that's probably 2009 was probably the bigger turning point. And from there, I've tried to do both, just keep pushing in my career to hopefully do really good work, but give back to the industry so the industry's a better place as well. And that's probably the crossroads moment.
Amazing. Okay, so you've had such a breadth of experience across both challenger and legacy brands. And one thing that comes through in all of your work is your passion for relevance, impact, and marketing as a force for good, as you mentioned. So you've led marketing in businesses with massive reach. For our audience of small business owners, what core marketing principles do you think you could apply no matter the size of the business?
Yeah, I think it's, and I've got to work with a few small businesses actually in the last sort of 6 months or so, and I actually love the opportunity, because if you've got smaller budgets to play with, there's still stuff you can do.
Yeah.
So I've got a friend who runs a fresh fish delivery service, and that's been great working on that, and working on something with the motor trade similar as well, and it's very exciting, those briefs. So I think what's true in those briefs, and what the question you've got is it starts again with, why was your business set up? Who are you there to serve? Are you meeting those customer needs? Are other people meeting it better than you, or you meet it better than them? So meet your customers where they are. Understand your competition around you really well. Understand the classic strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. What's driving your business or not driving you? Yeah. And then work out, once you know your audience and what makes you unique, how can you best reach them exactly where they're at? And some of the tools we've talked about earlier on, so if we're paid ads with Google, through to what you can now do with likes of Meta and TikTok, and even sort of radio ads now, there's bits you can do at quite a low cost locally that can drive your business. And importantly, you can measure the heck out of things now. You can test and do stuff.
Yeah.
You can see what works, and you can get a lot of this now bidding in real time that you can then course adjust quite quickly into what's working. But it starts with that. You've got to do the first bit first.
Yeah.
It's easy to rush into advertising and go, we're so-and-so. But you've really got to connect with your audience. And that's also what really excites you with AI now, is the opportunity that AI can do bits of this for you. So, I've used AI recently to help me write bits of plans where you go, can you go and do research into this thing for me? So I'd encourage people to, even the free versions of various AI tools, could do some of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
If you want to understand your competitors, ask AI to go and find it for you. Literally, you could save hours of work. Help me understand where I'm strong or weak. Help me understand who you think my customers are. Then you can build that plan around it with working with your great agencies, like yours, to build. You then need to build a more detailed plan to go, right, I've got some core insights here, but how do I build it into something solid, robust, and something that I can take forwards? But it starts with the DNA of your business. Yeah, as I say, if you don't know it, find it out quickly. Otherwise, your business will just drift, and then you can just end up being eaten alive by the competitors around you. Yeah, if you're not as sharp as you need to be, you'll find others definitely are. But again, that's a platform for opportunities.
And I would totally agree with that, because that's primarily where I end up working with small businesses most, or all types of businesses really, but with on their strategy, because a lot of them will have set up a business, and actually for a period of time they'll have been doing really well. It'll have been really, really busy for them, and then it'll maybe start to quieten down. And I think actually I don't really know how to attract. They'll either have had a lot of influx of new customers from relationships that they've already had previously, or whatever it might be, but actually they get to a point and think, okay, that might have died down now, or I need to bring in some new clients. I don't really have a plan, and that sort of has seemed to be a pattern for a lot of people that I've worked with. And then obviously I come in and talk about the importance of a strategy, and kind of really understanding your business and what you're about and what you have to offer your market, but your market as well, and really understanding that. And I think, like you say, there's a lot of people that are just one person in the business that can't go off and do market research, or haven't got the time or capacity, but actually AI now is such a fantastic tool to support with those areas in particular that you can then build on and plan out a strategy.
Well, otherwise you can get paralysed, can't you? You're running a business and you sort of get stuck like a rabbit in the headlights. And you're right, initially some businesses, they really take off, and then you get stuck because you're in the next chapter. And I'm with you. You need a marketing strategy. Otherwise, you will, at that earlier point, you'll just drift and drift. But actually, a clear strategy says, right, also it harnesses what you've done well. It's not like you're going to get a naughty score. It actually is saying, look, some stuff that clearly is helping your business, but there's a drag on it unless you move in this direction and do it. I'm with you. The mix of tools like AI, but also great strategists, great thinking, develop that plan. And I think you can do it in a very, very cost-effective way.
I do as well. And I talk a lot about, I know that actually there's some really cost-effective ways to market if you don't have a big marketing budget. But actually, organically, there's an awful lot that you can now do with social media platforms, etc. It's maybe a bit harder, and you have to put in a bit more effort. But actually, you can achieve quite a bit on a small budget, or if not organically completely.
And it's back to that earlier point, measurability, isn't it? Is you can, and important, you can see quickly. And it's not like you like chuck your entire year's, your operational cost budget at it. You're literally going to go, you test a few £100, £1,000. You literally just get going and go, I'm going to learn from this stuff. And then I can roll out and activate and move it forwards, and see what's working, see what's not. But again, working with great strategists, working with the media heads, working with AI, you can find even like the keywords to use, how to get your website ranking better for those things. A lot of those things are quite basic hygiene bits. You sort those out with a clear strategy, you could win. You'll win very quickly.
And the data that is available now, even from social media channels and everything it tells you, you can't go wrong really. Once you look at that and realise what's working for you and what's not, I say to clients very quickly, if it's not working, then you move on and you try something else, or you look at what is working and really focus on why that's working well, and we do more of that.
And then because you're measuring it all the time, is what you find is working today might not work tomorrow. That's fine. Then you adjust again. That's the market. You're constantly evolving, and there'll be seasonal trends and things depending on your business. Learning is key, and that's the exciting bit about marketing.
I think so as well. And I also think as well, when you put in a marketing strategy together, the opportunity you've got, I often find people have got so many ideas bouncing around their head, or different directions they want to take the business in. But actually, when you've put the work in to do the research and to really sit and understand what you're trying to gain from the business, it's a great place to kind of, I always call it your Bible, really. It's a great place to have everything in one place, to bring it all together and align across all your platforms and everything that you want to do. So I just find it's such an important piece, before you do anything else. Everyone's quite quick to start posting on Instagram or start, whatever it might be, or, promoting their business. But actually, without that core understanding, it's...
I agree. And also particularly on, it's great, particularly on social media, there are too many businesses, particularly small businesses I see, on especially Instagram, where it's like a scattergun approach. We're just going to put lots of stuff up. And it becomes like meaningless blah. And actually, again, with a really clear marketing strategy, what it will tell you about your content is what you should be posting about. If you are a personal trainer, what content should you be posting about? You shouldn't be putting random videos of someone rowing 1 minute and cycling. What's the thing? But that's back to your DNA. What's the thing that uniquely you're offering? And your content has to amplify that through every single story. And without a marketing strategy, it is just random. And people will be maybe listening to this. Think, oh God, I'm quite disappointed. I've tried social media. Well, that might be because there isn't a clear strategy. It might be you're trying hard, but it's not connecting because you don't know what your audience want, what they're engaging with, what makes you different, what's going to make you stand out. You might be paying to amplify the wrong content. A strategy will discipline you into what really matters.
And ultimately, it makes life a lot easier for you if you've got that plan. People say to me all the time, I want to use social media. I just, I'll have a great idea one day and then the next day I'm just lost. And, I can't, tell them enough that actually if you've got a plan for that, it makes life so much easier.
When you got content, the stress to wake up in the morning thinking, what am I going to film today?
Yeah.
It's like, it goes away because you go, right, this week we might post once or twice and we're going to post about this thing and that thing. And then you know what kind of reels, what sort of content.
Yeah.
The discipline there is great. And it's so much cheaper to make reels and stuff now as well.
Oh my goodness!
It's about focus, it's about discipline, and it's knowing what content your audience are really going to engage with. But again, it comes back to great thought, great strategy.
Planning, and I think, like you say as well, you can do so much on social media, but it's very easy. And lots of people talk to me about the fact they get quite caught up in what everyone else is doing, and that I think is a really difficult thing to. Move away from, because you do see random videos of people doing something that isn't anything to do with what their business is about. So I think you've got to remember as well that that's fine for that if they want to do that, but you've got to kind of stay true to what you believe in and what you know your audience want to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise, and also that there's a real variability, I think, in the quality of content on social media. You just need to take TikTok's an amazing platform, as is Instagram and Facebook and wider, but it's a mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think there is a danger to get caught up in that. I find the distinctiveness for you, and also the tone of voice, the approach. You're not there to try and copy someone else. I mean, it's interesting what others are doing.
Yeah.
But more importantly, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How does your content and the quality of content magnify you and your brand and your business and what you're about? And chase after that. And then you can keep an eye on the people around you, but set the bar at the right level for yourself first. Rather than you can spend sleepless nights obsessing over the other bits and getting lost in it. And also, there's a danger without the right analytics. You can look at all sorts of content and think, that's amazing, but it might not be. It might not be engaging.
Yeah.
And you can create something that's more engaging. So yeah, that's something. Chase after your own North Star.
Yeah. It's absolutely easy to get caught up, isn't it? And actually, when you look into it on a deeper level and what the algorithm's actually looking for on different platforms, it changes quite frequently. And also, it's not actually what you think. These vanity metrics now don't tend to matter as much as other different, other metrics. So, but it is easy to get caught up in that, isn't it?
100%. That's why you work with great agencies and build a very clear dashboard of what success looks like and just go after it.
Amazing. Okay, so many of our listeners struggle with confidence in marketing. As we've said, it can feel overwhelming. You can get caught up in what everybody else is doing. What advice would you give to someone trying to build their brand on a budget? Now, I've already covered a little bit of this, but is there anything else that you would recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes the word marketing is helpful and unhelpful, isn't it? I think if you were to stop in a high street and say 10 different people describe marketing, they probably say different things.
Yes.
And people might automatically go to something big. They might think about a Christmas advert, or they might think about a billboard they walk past. So sometimes marketing gets caught up in the sense that it's big budgets, big companies for bigger brands. And I think, therefore, I can understand why if you have less budget, people get caught. I wouldn't know where to start. Sounds expensive. My business is running on a tight cost base. Wouldn't know where to start. So my advice is just don't get paralysed.
Yeah.
Start with what we talked about before. The basics of marketing are very exciting. And particularly if the people listening are the founder, owner, originator of their brand, you will know the DNA. You created this, and this is your baby.
Yeah.
So you will know it. What marketing will do is lift it up and also, right, so you've created this brand to do this thing. What was the thinking behind it? How do we energize that thing? How do we connect that thing more with your audience, make it even more successful? And how do we reach them in a cost-effective way with all the channels we've described earlier on? So I wouldn't, don't let yourself get paralyzed, because a lot of the answers are in you as the founder, owner of the business. You know it, but it needs coding or decoding in a way that you can then do something actionable, meaningful with it. But also, you can relax and run, particularly if you're working with a great agency like yours, it's a bit like, you'll take it off them. So the bit like, you run the business, you are brilliant at your thing. You don't suddenly need to be like Jedi Master Yoda in marketing. You don't need to do that. Just, you get on, be incredible at running your business. And meanwhile, the marketing bit is taken care of over here. And actually, this will act as a cost-effective growth engine for your business. And then off you go. And If there are channels that are working less well, you can stop them. If they're working brilliantly, keep going and learn as you go. So it's not an exercise where you're going to lose a load of money. It's an exercise you're going to learn a lot to grow your business.
Yeah.
And I'd argue if you're not doing that, if you're not getting help, that's an early word, you'll get stuck, you'll get paralysed, and others will overtake you.
And even if people think that they can do it themselves, which is totally fine, and companies often can, they often start out quite well and think, okay, yeah, I'm gonna plan it all out. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. But then, if the business gets busy or if they're taken off in another direction, it can often slip, can't it? Yeah. And actually, that's when more damage can be done. If you kind of lose momentum, or if you stop what you were doing that's going well, that's kind of when.
Yeah, well, particularly if you've got an engagement, it's a great point. If you've got an engagement with the audience, let's say social media, if you're sort of, you're present, then it's like a friend in your life that's there, they're not there. You're like, where have they gone? And why have they changed who they are? And that's the bit you become lumpy, you become schizophrenic in your approach, you become invisible. And then with a lot of the algorithms down the search engines, if you are visible or less visible, and even your SEO, you're not measuring or monitoring this stuff on a regular basis, you can easily slide behind.
Yeah.
And I agree. And for a lot of small businesses, and I get this fact, marketing isn't often all that someone's doing. It's you are the marketing, digital, retail, site manager, whatever. You're all these bits, and you'll get pulled. But therefore, get some help, get some support.
Absolutely. Okay, amazing. So you've been recognised for effective leadership and brand building. What makes a truly great marketing campaign in your eyes?
So many. I think there's the relevance. You told us what I think showing you're relevant for me is at the heart of every great campaign, because it connects on a mental and emotional level with people, where you connect with them and go, wow, that connects with me in my life today.
Yeah.
So from a kind of mental, rational perspective, it says, half price sofas, right? Okay, if I need a sofa, wow, that's an amazing deal. But that alone doesn't do it. Actually, if it connects on a level of like, wow, I'm going to feel so much happier in my house in a new sofa, because that sofa is a lovely design and it's so comfortable, and it folds out and it's a bed, and you go, that's amazing. So I think for me, the best marketing, the best advertising has that great combination of a real reason, a hook to buy now that says, this is why you need this in your life today. It could be incredible value, but it does something on an emotional level that draws you in. But also, the art of entertaining people shouldn't be lost here. Whatever you're selling, I mean, one of the things I've loved in my career is, I've worked on, like, Boots has got incredibly sexy brands and products, but you go at the other end of that, and I'm selling van insurance and home electrical cover and boiler cover that people don't get excited about, but you can still make it fun and interesting. And I look back to some of the early work I did with British Gas. We had all sorts of stuff, incredible stuff. We had a teddy bear going around the washing machine waving at you for electricity. Floating chairs, in a room, and it was a bit like something out of like Alice in Wonderland. But you could still have fun. Yeah,
and equally, would you argue that it's more important to have fun with those brands that are less sexy?
I think it is fun. Yeah. And actually, there's a bit of you need to be seen as you're not going to be frivolous with your own business. No. You've got to know your DNA, but you can have a bit of fun with it. Yeah. And you can play with it a bit to just get noticed, which is why, on top of the challenge we talked about earlier on, radio for me is amazing, because radio is particularly working with like Bauer or Global, very cost-effective ways, great local stations you can work with cost-effectively. Often these stations will make the creative for you as well, they'll measure it for you, but you can have fun with it. You have a voice, a sonic touch to your brand locally that really lifts it. So I think it's all the bits I've described, but don't feel afraid to play and have fun and create something memorable. Because we've all listened to radio ads, we've all seen ads, we've seen stuff that you just yawn and walk past. Yeah. And it's very easy to play it safe. So I would encourage anyone listening or watching this to push the envelope a bit. Never to the point where you're like, oh golly, I think you can push a bit to go, actually we can have some fun with our brand. Because we're all human beings, and even the founders and the owners of the businesses listening to this podcast, they will crack a joke. They'll have a personality. It's a bit like, pull that out of you. So part of the reason you've created this brand is part of you. So what bits of you and your DNA that's in the brand could we pull out and lift out as well? So don't feel afraid to push on stuff, because there's too much in my slightly boring vanilla marketing work out at the moment that plays it very safe. And I think you can do some really clever creative work even on a small budget.
We all know as well, don't we, that we love to watch things that, you know, we have an emotional connection with, or it is a bit of fun, you know, you really enjoy those sorts of things. So you know that your audience is probably going to enjoy that as well, because you as a viewer or as an audience do. And I think as well, it's great to have a bit of fun. You know, it's not, it can all be very serious running a business. And I'm not saying, you know, it's all, you know, but actually marketing can be so much fun, and that, you know, you really want to enjoy some of those elements and you know, bring that into your everyday.
It's got to be as well. So I'll give you one example. When I worked for More Than, we did an entire campaign where we had someone that sounded like Morgan Freeman. Yeah, it was a guy called Josh Robert Thompson. We flew over from America, and we had this campaign for a few years. It was More Than Freeman, and the brief was create a water cooler moment, which was you're in the office and someone will say to you, "Have you seen this advert?" Okay. And we got that. But this was an advert for home insurance, encouraging. People didn't talk about, have you seen that home insurance advert? But with this, they went, have you seen that advert with the Morgan Freeman voiceover thing? And it's like the Shawshank Redemption. And that was the amazing team at VCCP who do Meerkat and O2, an incredible agency. But it's just an example of even the thing you think can be low interest.
Yeah.
I did a similar thing when I ran marketing at TSB. We relaunched TSB with David Schwimmer from Friends, who is an incredible human being, great person to work with. I could tell you many Schwimmer stories, but that'd be too long.
That's amazing.
But he ad-libbed a lot. So we had a script that we wrote with him. He knew the director well, but he ad-libbed on set to add funny lines. And I can still watch those back now and they make me laugh. Because one's about a current account, the other's about loans. There's general sort of brand advert. But these are ads for a bank. Yeah. I love banking. I love financial services. But even with that one, you can make the work interesting and engaging. Yeah. And why I love those ads that McCann did is, again, they were exactly that. They were funny, they were engaging, they weren't irreverent to the brand, no. They weren't denigrating of the amazing financial services industry, but they lifted the content to the point where people went, wow, have you seen that advert with Ross from Friends? Yeah. David in there, he's driving a camper van around, and they got talked about.
Yeah.
And again, I said you can bring that right the way down. You know, those were obviously bigger budgets, but even with smaller budgets, you can do work that gets talked about in the right way and engaged.
Amazing. I can't believe you've met Ross from Friends.
Oh, it's stories for another day.
Oh my goodness. So something that I really admire is your belief that marketing and business should be a force for good. Yeah. That comes through obviously in how you lead, how you mentor, and how you show up for the industry. You've been a champion for inclusion and a mentor to so many rising stars in the industry. What drives your passion for diversity and equity in business?
Well, I think back to the connection with customers. Yeah, I think if you, particularly as we get older, I think you tend to see the world through your own eyes and your own lived experience. And I love meeting people who have a totally different lived experience to me. So I'll give you one example. For the last 6 years, I've been learning improvised comedy.
Oh, yes. I was going to talk about this.
Improvised singing. And so it's not stand-up. You make it all up. You're with other people and you create scenes and songs. I was doing some bit last night. But my friends there are nothing like me, and I'm nothing like them. And it's been great getting to know them and seeing the world through their eyes. And so often we mix with similar people, with similar backgrounds, and it's just the nature of life. You live in a similar area, you hang out with the same people. And improv taught me that it's great to hang out with different people. And then I got involved in being exec sponsor for the LGBT network at Aviva, then TSB, and then latterly at Boots. And that just got me to talk to people, see the world through their eyes, you know, their lived experience, good and bad. And it just opens your eyes to a different perspective. Yeah. So why I think it's important is first of all, I think at a human level, we need to keep learning and growing. We need to appreciate that people have had a different life than we've had. Yeah. And that's just healthy. It's just healthy because then you have a much bigger, broader perspective. And I also think it's encouraging to have a diverse friendship group. You know, and so often people get judged and categorized and boxed in. So important that you value people for who they are. And then from a customer level, I think, how can we ever really understand who our customers are if we don't understand society at large? I'll give you a great example. When I was at TSB, we took into the board a presentation about the new current account we were developing. And it was a good conversation, but it's very evident the board were not the target customer. No. And we had to say that, which is you have a perspective, but this bank account's not for you. And that's why it's also really important as a marketer, and when you're pitching at executive level, or even if you're in a small management team in a small business, is you might not be the customer. So, yeah, but therefore, championing diversity and inclusion, championing the value of other people, you can see your customer's perspective. You realise that your perspective is different or not the same thing. So I think it's really important as a leader. I think you have to build teams with that lens now. You need to surround yourself with people that are like you. So back to that earlier point about the small business and you're the MD, you've got a role that's different. That's refreshing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a Swiss Army knife. You literally have to go, well, you're great at this thing. And most businesses I've worked with at what level have a visionary leader, but you need an anchor next to them, a strong finance person or a strong marketeer or sort of visionary. So you need a bit of those, whether they're people that work for your agencies you work with, get the people in that aren't you, that are the things that you don't bring. And the richness you'll get from that is amazing because you'll get a different perspective. Without it, we're too tunnel vision. So yeah, as you know, passionate advocate.
Yeah,
for it. I think it's so important. Yeah.
And just on a side note, how did the improv comedy come about?
I saw an advert at a local station and I was buying my annual rail pass, very boring thing to do. And there's a poster there about learning improvised comedy. And it was in the theatre below the station where I live. My son's an actor. My son James is an actor. I thought, okay. I can do. He's amazing. I thought I could do something a bit like him, but not the same thing. And I went along and I just fell in love with it as a way to be creative.
Yeah.
Because you are making things up. It's like you're playing like a kid again, creating scenes or scenarios. And since then, I got 5 years ago, I did a charity show. I got nine other marketing directors. We got them all trained up. We did a show. We raised 30 grand for comic relief. And so I brought the skill set both into the industry, but also in my last team at Boots, as a lead team, we all got trained up in improvisation and creativity. I then did a away day with my whole team at Boots 2 or 3 months ago. They did a masterclass in improv. And so I think this art is a really important one about learning to create, to ideate. And there's an amazing technique in improv. It's the most famous technique, which is called yes and. Okay. And it's an amazing technique, which is I build on ideas that are not my own. Yeah. So in an improv scene, if the audience said, we want to see you and me on a beach, and you said to me, Pete, it's amazing being on the beach, isn't it? And I've got, yes, and we're now going to go and get an ice cream. And yes, and we're now going to go and ride the Big Dipper, or we're going to go stroke a donkey, whatever you do on the beach. So, but yes, and is I'm affirming and building on your idea. And so often in business, in meetings, people work to shut down people's ideas and try and wait till they've stopped talking and I'll give you my great idea. And yes and is a really good way of affirming and seeing the good and quality in others' ideas. And then you build on it and take it forwards. And in improv, if you don't yes and, so if I shut down your beach idea and went, I hate beaches, the audience will look at us like, well, look at me in particular, like, what a luck. And the scene is rubbish. So you have to lean in, you have to accept, build on people's ideas, you have to create something together. Otherwise, it's a rubbish show. So I think, so the art of improv, creating is great, but the art of how you build ideas and work on stuff together is really important. And knowing when to take the lead in a scene or step back in a scene. So I am a work in progress on all levels. I've still got a lot to learn, but improv has been a great discipline to retrain me in terms of how to be in certain situations in work and in life, when to lean in, when to lean back, when to create, when not, when to yes and, or when to step away and say, but that's not such a good thing. So yeah, lots to learn. But if people are looking for something new to do, I'd encourage, you don't have to think you're funny. Yeah. Improv, literally, you could feel you're very introverted. This isn't like an extrovert's course. There's people I know who normally wouldn't do this sort of thing, but love the experience of just tapping into something creatively. And it's just so much fun.
Oh, it sounds really fun. And also, like you say, opening you up to meeting lots of different types of people, new people, and understanding their perspective as well is just such an important thing to do in life in general.
And however old people are, you might be 8 to 80 or beyond. It's important at any stage of life. Yeah. Otherwise, your life view becomes too narrow. And I think that appreciation is so much bigger if you do what I've described. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so tell us more about your mentoring work. What do you love most about supporting the next generation of marketers?
Back to that lived experience, I love hearing other people's stories, and I get challenged. So the people I'm lucky enough to mentor in the likes of the School of Marketing, the Marketing Academy, Marketing Society, I love hearing their perspective. So I get challenged myself on their worldview, their view of marketing, their view on brand, but I love hearing their story and their journey and where they're at. And actually that challenge back is really helpful. It helps to build and develop me as well, as much as I hope I'm doing the same for them. But I think it's really important that because I'm a firm believer in passing the baton on and passing the torch on. And clearly, I've just left Boots, and that baton will get passed on. And at any moment, you need to be preparing for the next generation. We are all ourselves at some point a footnote in history, aren't we? And my hope is we leave the businesses we're in, or the people we interact with, in a better place than we found them. So that mentoring bit for me is part of that baton passing, going, if I can do whatever I can to help someone, to help them move forward, to advance them, that's a good thing, because they will then pass it on to someone else. And then this industry, this marketing industry that I love, is better for it, because you can imagine this sort of constant relay race of baton passing, and I pass it to someone, who pass it to someone, and it's something, you've created this amazing thing. And I also think hopefully it's shaping future leadership. If I'm, it isn't to big me up, lots of people do what I do, but if you role model something that says, I want to be generous with my time, I want to give and invest, then my hope is therefore so will they, and then everyone starts to do it. And you set the tone for, this is a generous, inclusive, supporting, vibrant industry. Therefore, it is, and it still is that. So I think that bit about making it real, not just saying it, is really important there too. So no, I get loads out of that. I love it.
It's incredible. Okay, so what changes would you love to see in the industry over the next, say, 5 or 10 years, especially in terms of leadership and inclusion?
I think, well, the industry is going to go through a lot of change because technology is accelerating. We've talked about AI briefly. We could probably spend an entire session here talking about AI. There's lots of change coming, and I think we're going to need to shape the industry as we want it and how we want to use those tools. So I think at skills level, we're going to need to be doing different tasks and different things. I like the expression that a friend of mine in one of the agencies talked about to me about recently about AI-powered humans. So I think AI is a tool that brilliant people can use, but it will be more part of their job. So I think that the skills we need as leaders, the skills we need as marketers, is going to change and shift. Technology is going to become more part of that, and we all have to decide what role it does or doesn't play and how far it goes in the ecosystem. And then in terms of inclusion, I think the industry is richer for a richer mix of people. So I think we need to have our mindset open to working with all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds. I see it happening already, but I think having those doors more and more open is going to be really important, because again, there are lived experiences that people have gone through that I think will really shape our industry. And I'm involved with 2 trade bodies, the ISBA, which is the Corporate Society of British Advertisers, and also the Advertising Association. Both of those I'm working on diversity agendas within, because for me that's important as an industry. Through the trade organisations, we're encouraging more people into the industry. So I think it is that. So my hope is, to answer your question, that we're able to encourage an even more diverse mix of people in the industry. And by that, I mean all the backgrounds you would expect, but also diversity of thought is really important. And then that we are all ourselves equipped with the technology and the tools we need, and we're shaping and using those in the right way that secures a brilliant future where everyone's brilliance of strategy, thought and process is still there, but the tools take away some of the grunt work, or the work we just, we end up with more value-added work.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, incredible. Okay, so for the ambitious small business owners that are listening and who want to grow with purpose and make an impact, what do you think is the one thing they could start doing today?
I would start by sitting down and going, right, why did I form this business in the first place? Go back to the beginning. What drove me? What was in my vision, my intent, my mission? And code it, write it down. What was I trying to do? Who was it for? Where did I see a gap in the market? And just sit back and look at it. And then say, am I still doing that? Is this still true today? Then I would do a bit of a market mapping of who else is out there, who's doing it. That's where you start to use some technology and tools to do that in its earliest form. Well, I would engage someone to support you on your strategy. So if you've written that down, you understand it, you've got the start of a brief. The start of a brief you can give to someone who can take it further and go, right, if that's the thing, if that's what you're about, right, how do we elevate and do something with it? But start with you. And also, I guess if people are watching this or listening, then they're probably doing it because they want to move their business on. So there's a bit of almost like a burning platform or exam question they've got. Also write that down. So why am I thinking about this? Is it because my business growth has slowed down, or my business growth is great but needs to be more? Have I got a nippy new competitor at my heels I need to beat? Am I looking for new markets? Expanding? Great. What's the problem? So start with why you set in the first place. Start with the problem statement. Start with the ambition of where you want to go. You've pretty much got the start of a brief. Then use some technology and get some help, expert help, then you're on your way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so I always do a quick fire round, some quick fire questions to ask your opinion on. Okay, so what was your favourite brand campaign of all time?
Ooh, I think it was. It was there was between two. If I had two, well, I think you know when you beat Tango, which was the Tango.
Yeah.
It was very clever at the time and disrupt it.
Yeah.
But I picked something random. Anything with a jingle it got me as a kid. There was one with Quick Fit, and you can't get better than a Quick Fit fitter.
Yeah.
All those ones were like you had really snappy jingles. For me, anything that becomes a bit of an earworm that stays with you and is memorable has stuck with me through. So I love those.
Yeah, oh, me too. Absolutely. Okay, so what is one book that every business owner should read?
Oh, there's a great book by a guy called Norm Lavioletti. It's called, excuse my French, called The Art of Making Shit Up, right? And it's about taking improvisation techniques into business.
Okay.
So it comes The Art of Making Shit Up by Norm Lavioletti. And it's a great book because it takes the stuff that I described earlier on into a business context. It's very easy.
Okay, that's one for everyone to get hold of. Okay, a marketer or a leader that really inspires you?
Yes, there's a great friend who I have known for many years. There's a guy called Mark Evans. He previously ran Marketing Direct Line.
Okay.
Great marketer. He's done some amazing work. He works with the School of Marketing that helps to get marketing out to encourage people from diverse backgrounds into the industry. He's created this thing called Sprintathon that raises hundreds of thousands of pounds to beat cancer every year. And he's just a top advocate for the industry too. So yes, he's an amazing individual and amazing marketer.
Fantastic. Okay, what is your go-to productivity tool or habit?
Well, interesting. I have got into using AI more in the last few weeks because I've been doing more research for either articles I'm writing or podcasts I'm involved with. I had to use that as a research tool.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, tools like Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT have sort of become a real enabler to me to research certain companies or context for certain things I've been doing. Outside that, I'm a big user of social media. So particularly when I took on the Boots job, I realised I had to be on TikTok. I had to be on Instagram. I was already on LinkedIn because if I'm not on those channels, how am I supposed to understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Confidently present to other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a mix of using sort of AI-based tools for research and bits of work where needed. It's kind of the low crumb work, and then I think using social media it's very powerful.
I agree. And one piece of advice that you'd give your younger self?
Well, I think it would be there's something about being more assertive, more confident. I certainly early on in my career, I wasn't as forthright with challenging and questioning things, which I am now. So I would encourage them to believe in myself more, be more confident in myself, challenge and question things more. And I think I would have had some different answers.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely if I was looking at myself, there's quite a few other things I tell myself right now. I think quite a few things I tell myself from last year, let alone from that long ago. Because life's a great lesson, isn't it? But yeah, that would be the first.
Yeah, that would also be mine because I having worked in a corporate space for a long time, I had a very low self-belief. I really struggled with confidence. And as I kind of progressed in my career, and you know, I'd go to big conferences and I'd present, that kind of got better. But actually in the last year and a little bit of working for myself, I've noticed a massive change in you know, my belief in my ability and what I think I can achieve. So yeah, I'll be the same.
Self-belief isn't arrogance. It's just actually it's a level of confidence that says I can walk into a room and I'm more sure of who I am in the room. It's not a sort of some kind of swagger. And I think it's what starts with worry, isn't it? You sort of go from low confidence to suddenly you're like dominating.
Yeah.
The scale is between that, which is there's low confidence, which is where none of us want to be, but being self-assured is just a good thing. It's a good thing. You're at peace with yourself in the room, and you know the value of what you can bring, and you can do.
It's massively changed me. You know, I started working for myself and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Is this going to be okay? But actually, you know, the projects that I've worked on and whatever's happened in that space of time has, you know, made me realise, oh my goodness, I can do this and I am good at this, and you know, and it does give you that confidence, doesn't it? So I'd be exactly the same.
Brilliant.
Okay, so finally, where can people find out more about you, your work, and where can they connect with you?
Wow, okay. So,
if you want them to.
Yes. I'm invisible. No. You can find me I'm on Instagram, which is at Pete Markey CMO. I'm on TikTok as @pete.markey.cmo. Not quite sure where the dots are there. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn if you want. What we'll do, we can provide, there's an email address I'll give you to my bio, right? So
well, I'll also provide all the links and everything to your socials if you're happy with that on the.
So, yeah, very happy. You can find me on LinkedIn, find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok as well. I think I've got a YouTube channel as well, so you can find me there as well.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's I think you have to be now.
Yeah.
And look, I'm like you, a passionate supporter of small businesses. So very happy if people want to ask you questions or reach out with back of this. Then yeah, please do.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
It's been wonderful to meet you in person and to have you answer all our questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
How amazing was that? Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. Your insight, leadership and generosity in sharing your journey are exactly what the Business Besties Club is all about. To everyone watching and listening, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a review if this episode inspired you and share it with a fellow business bestie who needs to hear it. Until next time.